Hey guys, I know, I can't believe it. It's another video from me. What? Well, here's what happens. So, I get something in my head, right? And I fixate, and I get stuck in there, and I have to get it out. Otherwise, it's just stuck in there forever. So, here I am. I have something specific to talk about. Um, now, It's June, but not that long ago we had the Tonys, and I was so excited about the Tonys, as I am every year, because I love the Tonys. I don't really do award shows very much anymore, but I will watch those, and the reason is I am a gigantic musical theater nerd. I'm a nerd in many ways, but I love musical theater. I always have. Um, Ever since my mom started taking me to the theater when I was younger, when she was able to, ever since she introduced me to the AMC channel and I got to watch older movies, and I fell in love with all of them. Um, so I was pretty jazzed to watch the Tonys this year. I was even more jazzed when A, I realized that Ali Stroker was up for a Tony, and B, she won. I was in tears. I wanted to scream and cry and just be very excited, and I did. So, um, Ali Stroker, if you don't know who she was part of, and I'm showing my nerdiness here. I used to watch Glee. Um, when I was done watching Glee, I ended up watching the Glee Project, which Ellie Stroker was a part of. Now, the important thing about Ellie Stroker is, well, okay, not the most important part. The most important part is that she's talented. But a important part about Ellie Stroker is that Ellie Stroker is the first. I just want to like shake something. Um, she was the first person in a wheelchair to win a Tony. The first person who was actually disabled, who was actually a chair user, who won a Tony. My mind was blown. I was so excited. I could not even. So I had so many emotions, and I was very excited for her. I watched her performance. Her performance was great. And then they got to when she was called and she was going to accept her award. And that's where it fell apart for me. Because, well, I was so proud of her and her accomplishment and the great thing that she did and the amazing thing that just happened for the entire community. I was so proud. It did not get past me that in this theater, where they have had um, tons of shows come through and tons of events come through, they've had gigantic props and different sceneries changes and um, all of these things. My brain is going all splitty, as my friend Michelle says. Um, so they've done all these things to put you into different worlds and different environments and whatever, and yet Somehow, the people who were to set the stage and put it all together somehow could not how to put a ramp. They somehow could not figure out how to add a ramp to the stage for a chair user. So what really broke my heart was that they and I'm making assumptions here. I'm making wild assumptions. They put her performance on so close to when she won her award that they didn't need her to have her moment. They just stuck her backstage. And what I mean by her moment is in every award show, and I do mean just about every award show, you have that moment where the person goes through the category, for instance, and it's, I don't know, best actress. You've got 4 people, and they go and they name each person and they show where they're sitting and they show them grab the hand of the person next to them and get very nervous and excited and whatever. And then they announce who won. And then they go back to that person and they zoom in on them again, except this time the person is even more excited and they jump out of their seat and they kiss and hug the person next to them and they're so excited and they run up to the stage and you have that whole um, nervousness about tripping on the stage and falling and blah, 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 blah. That whole thing, that whole moment. That is their moment. That's their opportunity to make their way there. And everyone has their eyes on them, and it's special. It's so special. And yet, Allie Stroker didn't get that moment. They robbed her of it. They robbed her of it. And that's kind of devastating to me. It's devastating in 2019 that something would happen like that. Now, I'm not downplaying her win in any way, shape, or form. I am so proud of her. I'm so proud of her because I selfishly, I was thinking of myself and I was thinking about being a young girl, very dramatic, and putting my dreams aside of pursuing any kind of performing art because I knew that depending on where I would go, these places are not accessible to me as a manual chair user. They are not accessible to me. And particularly in the early 90s when I was a young kid, it would have been unheard of for any of these places to have access to the stage. Even when I was in junior high, um, I wanted to join drama club, so I did. And well, I realized soon after um, that acting was not going to be my forte because, frankly, I'm not a very good actress. Um, Even if I were, there was no way to ensure that I had access to everything else, every other part of the stage that the other actresses and actors had. There was no way. And this is what I was told. So I'm watching this and I'm sobbing because I'm thinking about little 12-year-old Kikums and how badly I wanted to be a part and I couldn't because there wasn't physical accessibility for me. This was not a place that I could physically reach. And it was just another place that I couldn't go or another thing that I couldn't do. On top of all the things that I had been told through the years, all of the groups and the activities that I told I could not join because there was not physical access. And and that it made this even more devastating. In that moment, I was so excited for Ellie Stroker, and I was also devastated. I know that this isn't the end for her, and I know that there is a reckoning coming. There are going to be other disabled actors and actresses and performers, and they're coming and they're going to be showing up at these shows. I mean, just recently, Mayzoon Zaid, um, who is also disabled, physically disabled, um, was just recently in General Hospital. She was wonderful. And with her and with Ellie Stroker, that gives me confidence that there is a wave coming. There is a wave of disabled performers coming. And we have to be prepared for them. The ADA was created a long time ago. It's 2019. We're talking about 1990. It was a long time ago at this point. There's no reason or excuse why we should be able to limit the dreams and aspirations of young people because these places aren't accessible. There is no reason in 2019 that people would be limited in what agencies they can be represented by and what places that they have auditions in because these places aren't accessible. And that is frankly disgusting and unacceptable. There's no reason why in 2019, when we have these amazing people that could fill all of these roles, we are still allowing people, non-disabled people, to fill the roles of disabled characters. Particularly heinous is when the TV show or the movie is based on a real person, a real disabled person. I am so frustrated. I'm so frustrated. And I want to reiterate that I am celebrating Ellie Stroker and I am celebrating Mayzoon Zaid. But as a society, we need to do better. We need to create more accessible spaces in the community and more space in the performing arts field for disabled people. Let that marinate for a bit. And then I want you to go and check out your local community and see if your community theater or your church choir groups or anything that has even like the smallest connection to performing arts. If those spaces are accessible, if they create the opportunities for disabled people to participate. And if they don't, start asking questions. Why don't you do that? Why doesn't isn't this accessible? What can we do to make it more accessible? Ask the questions, and soon you won't have to ask anymore. You'll have the answers, and it will either be because they don't care, or the answer will be, you know what? There's no good reason. Let's fix it. All right, my darlings. Have a good night.